Hi, everyone. So happy to have you here today. I'm getting started on time, but as people keep coming in, we are going to go over and start our presentation. If I can get my act together this morning. So here we go. Here's hoping you can all see my screen. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about QA Fusion, the whole idea of QA Fusion, and focusing on part one of that, which will be talking about QA Pilot, a very fast, easy, and smart way to manage your QA. But before that, I would just like to say, thanks. I'd like to thank all of you working in the healthcare industry on the front lines of good old COVID-19 that is still with us. Your dedication and sacrifice are an example to everyone. Amidst all this change, we know cancer doesn't stop and that patient health issues will continue to be at the forefront. So as medical physicists, we understand that your time is extremely valuable. So we truly work to design, develop, and manufacture QA solutions with that in mind. We are here as your partner for efficient and precise solutions, whether they be for daily, monthly, or annual QA, or as we're going to discuss today, the management of all of that. Again, like I said, a little bit of house cleaning, and just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent out via email. If you have any questions, please use the dialog box and I will address those at the end. And just a little bit of history about Standard Imaging, in case this is your first webinar that you're attending. We are based in Middleton, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Madison. We were founded over 30 years ago in 1989. And while we had humble beginnings of our brachytherapy, well chamber, and electrometer solution, we have certainly grown and matured into a company that designs and manufactures and sells a full suite of QA products for the radiation therapy market. And just a little bit about me, since we don't get to see each other these days, and I have moved into my art workspace as my home office. And what I like to do in my spare time is making kaleidoscopes. So it was really just about a year ago from today that I was in lovely Jerome, Arizona, turning these blocks of wood into this kaleidoscope you see here. It is my passion. It is a whole lot of fun. And it certainly keeps me learning just as Standard Imaging does. I've been with Standard Imaging for over 15 years now, most of that in our sales department in one role or another. I've now been a product manager for a little bit over a year, and my portfolio or things under my purview include our QA Pilot management solution, our stereotactic phantoms, and our QA stereo checker machine QA, mainly for CyberKnife, but also beginning to be for Linux. So let's get into what we're here to actually talk about today, which is just how incredibly stressed, busy, even overwhelmed physicists can be given the tasks that you are all assigned to do, whether that be performing the QA, reviewing the QA, managing people and sites, preparing and working with auditors and regulators to make sure that everything is running smoothly and in accordance with those regulations. The list just goes on and on. Well, as I said at the beginning, QA Pilot really is here to help make the management of all your tasks easier. Here are some of the ways we do that. We help you gain efficiency in streamlining the communication and standardization of operations. I'll show you some of that. We provide you something secure so you don't have to worry about crashing, losing, or safety concerns. We do sell this as software as a service. It's hosted on Amazon Web Services, which are triple encrypted and guarantee an uptime of like 99.9999%. We've never had an issue, nor have we heard of anyone else ever having issues with this. We help you with your compliance. Again, make it simple to demonstrate that you are following regulations and recommendations by putting all of your data and documents at your fingertips, and give limited access to an auditor or regulator to view those documents. And we help you with the accountability, right? Making sure that the oversight and review is effortless. We do that with dashboard summaries, HIPAA compliant internal email alerts, providing a variety of trending and reporting. And we also really help the physics community by being vendor neutral. And when I say that, I don't mean that we're just LINAC manufacturer vendor neutral. I mean that although it is my heart's desire that you get the best QA tools to do your jobs, and that would mean standard imaging, we fully recognize that you probably have a variety of devices in your department. And we also support a variety of QA devices other than standard imaging within QA Pilot. So as I mentioned very briefly, QA Pilot is a web-based software as a service. And what does that really mean for you guys? It means that you do have lower entry costs. There's no large capital investment for a software product. It is priced per room or LINAC HDRCT. We have lower maintenance costs, again, because we have a local footprint, the service is minimal. We reduce the time and expense to install the software, and the software updates are automatic because, again, this is a web service. We have a dedicated software team, so as things become available, they are simply there in the software as soon as regulatory release has occurred. You have lower hardware costs. You don't need to maintain hardware with advanced graphics or calculational ability. Of course, it's scalable, which means as you expand your center or you add centers, we grow with you, again, because it is licensed per LINAC, which makes it very easy as you're looking to add a new LINAC. It's simply one of the things you're going to put in the budgeting for that. And we do help you with improved operational performance by streamlining training costs, improving your communication within your department, again, that HIPAA compliant web communication. And we have a couple other things that are unique in QA Pilot to help with improving, process improvement, operational performance improvement, which I'll show you in the software. So these days, I'm sure a lot of you are still working mostly remotely, going in, after hours or only when there are a limited number of people in the clinics. That means that you have to have an extra emphasis on how do you remain efficient in doing that. And by being a web application that's available to you wherever you have web, you can analyze, review, and approve your QA. You can see what's going on with the clinics, machines, the QA schedules. Are they overdue or done on time? You can share documents or procedural updates via our document section within QA Pilot. You can track your machines and your QA devices with logs. Again, improve patient safety through instance learning, and prepare and manage for your accreditations. You can do all of that via QA Pilot and do that remotely. Now, when we talk QA Fusion, in part, and then over this webinar and next week's webinar, we're really talking about the QA Pilot and PIPSpro integration. So this gives you a little bit the screenshot from PIPSpro of your dashboard results. And here's what they look like when they're coming on over into QA Pilot. We can look at that more closely. But, QA Fusion is our path to, complete integrated solutions. We have complete solutions for everything physicists need to do, from machine to imager to patient QA. But how do we get to the integration of those things? Well, in QA Pilot, you're already doing your management of devices. with a nice dashboard overview of those things. In QA Pilot, you're also able to perform. We have TG51 worksheets built into the QA Pilot platform. We have preset and customizable templates, and we have a variety of custom tests that you can utilize that include some mathematical functions like averaging, calculating deviations, and ratios. And we're integrating your results from your daily, monthly imager QA. This is just the beginning, and we've got more to come. So what can QA Pilot do for you? I think I've gone over that quite significantly in these slides, but as a reminder to that first list, here's the summary, which is really everything, represents everything except for the patient QA side of things. We have our LINAC View and Adaptivo products that are very intense and comprehensive solution for your patient QA. So I like to think about, and I've heard, because I've had discussions for a very long time with physicists about what a mess, how out of control things can feel when you don't have a management tool. QA Pilot really helps you see the intricacies, the connections between what's going on with LINACs and your centers and individuals and different people covering different things. Again, in this day and age of working remotely, that overview is very important. So now let's go take a peek at what it is that we're talking about. So now I'm in the QA Pilot software. Here on the left is the main menu of QA Pilot. It is organized in a fashion of what is it, frequency, what is it you're most likely to need to go in and look at or do. So the schedules is going to be your summary. Your therapist is going to land on the schedules page, see only which LINACs are important that they need to be concerned about, and what QA is scheduled for that particular LINAC. As a physicist, you're likely going to want to come into the review page, which will let you know what is in progress, what has been passed, what may need attention because something was out of tolerance, a place where any comments that have been made. Again, a communication tool, you get to add comments that are easily viewable. You also in the review page get to know if you have any outstanding machine log items. And often we think of a machine log as just your LINAC, but our machine log, you can cover much, much more than that. All of your QA devices will go into that momentarily. And of course, if you're reviewing something, then you're going to want to see the report on it. You can access those either through review or through reports. I'm going to go back to this review page for just a moment. This top one here, in progress, this is a sample of what's going on when I say integration with PIPSpro. We're bringing in the dashboard results, and we're also bringing in those PIPSpro reports. They're rendered in line right here in the report so that you can see it within QA Pilot, whether you're the person who performed that imager and machine QA or not. And what you notice when you go in reports, this gray section here is actually the menu of items by section of that particular template or schedule that is being utilized. If the circle is closed, it means that section has been complete. If it's open, that means there are tests yet to be done. And then they're color-coded green, yellow, red to let you know whether something within that section already has an alert on it or even a warning error type of thing. And just to let you know, let's see, down here, for example, we had some warnings. You can add a comment if you wanted to look at that in more detail. I wanted to, this is, okay, so if I wanted to, so these are the things that have been done so far, but like I said, it's in process. So if I went to that schedule in order to actually continue working on that, notice here as well for each of these, you have a set of buttons. the play button is to perform your QA. You can also look at what reports there are for that particular schedule, and you can also view your trends right there from that home page. Another real nice summary that's great to be looking at. Since this was in process, we had our pass fails. For example, here, when we say bring in those PIPSpro reports, you've already in PIPSpro performed and saved your report. So very simply, you can bring in the report. Which one was I doing here? For your star shot for your gantry, we just bring it in. And it's brought in here. You can see that that's been uploaded. And then when you're going in to actually look at the report, that is where it will be rendered right in the report. Anytime that you're doing QA and you may get interrupted, you have the opportunity to save it up here. If you're finished with QA, you get to go in and finalize your QA. Another opportunity to add some comments before doing that. I'm not going to finalize this because I still have incomplete items. If there's this is another opportunity to attach a document should there be some additional information that you want as part of the record for performing this monthly QA. It's very easy to navigate within QA Pilot. You have the back button always to get you different places, and then again, very easily click to different places. Now that's kind of, you perform, your review, and your reports. That's sort of the hub of what you're going to do to actually perform your QA. But as physicists, I know that you're very interested in how did we even get to that point? So we manage everything in the manage section. And what's really nice, again, about QA Pilot is that we provide you with dashboard summaries along the way. Where it's very easy to modify or edit something via the dashboard. We've got that for your sites and machines. We've got that for your QA devices. We have, and again, all of these things, if you've noticed, can be filtered as well. And there's multiple ways of being able to filter any of these dashboards to drill right into the information that you are most concerned about. Again, we have templates. These are all the templates that I or we as a team have created. And this, again, is your dashboard. You may be able, if you want to, you can go in and modify them. I did want to point out that we provide the software brand new with a variety of preset templates, which are a great place for you to be able to start. You can view tests within here and you can copy presets, but you cannot actually modify those presets. Those are sort of the basic standards to start with. And then once you've copied it and created your own, as you can see up here, I started with a monthly preset and I gave it a new name, and that I'm able to modify. If you're working with a variety of centers and there's something you want to share, you have a way to be able to do that as well. So these things are very important. Let's just go in and look at an HDR daily preset. We can view the tests that are in there. And this gives you a very quick summary of what's going on in there. The schedule configuration is something that we've recently updated to simplify. Again, you get your dashboard of your centers, what's going on. Say we want to add a schedule to this. I'm not sure. We only have this was probably a bad choice, but maybe we have something here that we want to add. As far as this goes, you very simply decide who is allowed to actually perform this type of QA. You also make sure that you give it a name, you give it a frequency. We said this is monthly. When does it start? How often does it repeat? And you just add it to the schedule. Everything within QA Pilot is really that simple. It's as few fields as possible that you have to click on or fill, and to be able to add or edit or change some things. One thing I also wanted to hit on up here for the sites and machines is that we have, in order to make life easier for performing those TG51 worksheets, there are things that we added to the settings for a machine. Note that machines are initially set up by Standard Imaging's customer care. because again, this is sold as software as a service per LINAC. So we get you started by getting those machines set up and working with you on the information you need there. Then you get to put in some information about your reference dosimetry, what energies are being affected, what are the calibrations you may have on that, those types of things, any factor document that you want to attach here. And that gets you started. This is some of the basic information for your device, related to your LINAC that will be required and can auto-populate then on your worksheets, and limiting the number of options and drop-down menus. With your measurement devices, again, that's another one where we wonder if it was the A19, if we wanted to edit it here. Another thing that we added again for the TG51 spreadsheet, make your life easy. Is this device actually used for TG51? We give you a variety of chambers, and again, we're talking about vendor neutrality here. We have a variety that are already preset in here. If you needed to add one, you can also create your own, put in that information that's needed for TG51, wall thickness, cavity radius, those types of things, and you can add an update. The other thing that you can do within your devices is add tasks. Here we have a task that was already signed off a couple of days ago. If we wanted to add a task, we can simply do it here. Very little information that needs to be set up, but you can take care of it here. And again, if you want to add a document related to a device, you can simply do that here as well. Now, if I go back here to the summary page, and again, I'll just do a quick sort by one, notice you have a next event date. This is, again, a great dashboard view to let you know what's coming up with your devices that you may need to take care of. In this case, what is it? It's telling us we're going to have a calibration due not until 2022 because we just got it back from being calibrated. Maybe it's another device that you need to extend your warranty on. You want to put in a task so that you do that in a timely manner so that when it comes to getting approvals for, budgetary approvals, you're making sure that you're not forgetting anything to maintain your equipment for the coming budget year. So other things that you can manage, and now I'm going to talk a little bit more. Well, 1, 2, 3, back up. I will just talk quickly about templates. Again, like I said, we already come with some preset templates, but if we go into one, we'll just go into my one that I play with. Decide what it's assigned to, what type of LINAC, and so on. And this is one of the wonderful things about QA Pilot is you don't need to create every test under the sun. It is provided with available tests. It starts with the we originally started with just TG142 recommended tests according to the various tables within that report. Since then, we've added things like MPC import. What does that? These come basic with the software as well. So anything here on available tests are what come with the software. Here on the right is what you've selected for a particular template. If you decide that there's something additional that you want to add, we're just going to add just this one thing. We've gone ahead and selected it over here. What happens is it's added down at the bottom of your list. Well, that isn't necessarily your workflow. Another beauty of QA Pilot is that we don't force you to work according to our workflow. You set that up according to what your departmental workflow is, or for a particular machine, what that workflow is. So, as we add tests, we add them to the bottom, but then you can take them and say, well, no, actually, I want to do this up here before I do some of my other mechanical tests. If you have multiple tests within a group, you can say, no, I really want to do this before I do that. So you can really rearrange groups, those sections within the schedule, that gray menu, and you can also organize your tests within that. Super flexible, super important, super customizable. And when we're talking about custom, I'd like to note that we have some things here that we've added as custom tests originally, but once they're created in the custom test, for you and your group, they will become available tests that can then again be applied to, as many schedules or templates as they need to be. How do we create custom tests? This is again a place where we have focused on doing a lot of new work. I'm going to go down to my playground. So custom tests, if we want to add a new test, we give it a name. If it's a group of tests, then we can have name and subname. Some of the things I'd like to just show you how easy it is to get it set up. Those PIPSpro reports that I rendered in line for my monthly Imager QA, I was able to do that in here by saying render it in line, and I'm just clicking on file attachment. All I have to do is add it, give it a name, just say report, XYZ, and I want to render it inside of my template and my report, and you can do it just that simply. The other thing that we've done, like I mentioned, we have added being able to do deviations within here, and whether you want to average those things, and also whether there's a common nominal value that would be applied. You have ratio tests. Do we have what is our numerator denominator? What units are we talking about? You can have a common denominator, and you can also choose whether you're going to average the numerators. So perhaps you're going to take 3 measurements of something, and you want to average those numerators to get an ultimate final averaged ratio, I guess I should say. So those are some of the, we do it with simple clicks, yes or no, simple information about what you're doing here. The other thing I'll say about custom tests, and another thing that we've added, which is really wonderful, is that you can actually preview your test before you're adding it to your schedule, so you know what it is that you're talking about. What am I doing in this one? In this case, I'm delivering a certain number of MU. I'm going to take 3 readings, and I've got say my Supermax electrometer, my channel 1, my channel 2, and what is the ratio of my readings. Now, I'm not a physicist, so I was playing around. I created some things that are fairly nonsensical, but things that might be very useful to you as a physicist is to be able to set up some tests for gating output, or say an energy test where you're doing a couple of measurements at different depths and or different energies. So those are things that you can set up very easily in here. Now I want to focus, so those are, I think, some things that are unique and wonderful to QA Pilot. What are some of the other things that are unique and very useful, especially in this day and age of remote working? Well, let's take a look at our document section here. Our document section, it can be any type of document. Whether that be a PDF document, an Excel spreadsheet, an image, a procedure or policy, any of those things can be uploaded here. You can sort them by type, and again, you have filters up here. You can give it a type, you can give it a tag, you can give it a version. Versions are important because departmental policies are updated. COVID, how many things did that change for you? You probably changed all kinds of procedures and policies, and it was fast moving at the beginning. How do you want to get that information out to people? Well, you can put out a new version, and then you can actually communicate. You can require sign-offs on it. You can decide who needs to sign off by role, by center, and you can give them a due date. And this is going to communicate via the HIPAA compliant internal email system to QA Pilot itself. You can track it and make sure that people have signed off on things, and if they haven't, you can reach out to them, individually and say, hey, get on the ball. This is really important. We've updated a procedure or policy. It is a wonderful communication device. Now, I had mentioned that for auditors or regulatory agencies, again, a lot of that's being done remotely these days. Well, you can actually create a guest user within QA Pilot, and that gives them access to reports and to the documents section. So if they're saying, okay, we're going to review the last 6 months of X, and you have data that you can export as a CSV report, you can upload that here, and then they don't need to go over to that other device information. They have it right here at their fingertips. If they want to review how you've updated your policies in the day and age of COVID, you can send them here and they can see that. Another thing I wanted to note with revisions is that the new version, the current version, is the only version that is easily accessible and viewable, because the whole idea is to make sure everybody's on the same page, doing the same things in the same manner. You can access old revisions if needed, but you need to go through customer care to get that information. Again, we sort of lock it away because we wouldn't want anybody inadvertently using old information. And QA Pilot really is meant as an audit trail for things. So there's a lot of things that you can archive, not so many things that you can delete. Just so you know, an FYI, it's a really good way to do that. So that is a couple of things that you can do. I had another unique thing to QA Pilot, like I said, is the machine log. I'm actually going to go in and look at that in here in our manage section a little bit, because I'd like to talk about, like I said, it's not just about the Linux, but it can be about the devices as well, or Linux accessories. Well, the cool thing about this is that you can put in all those different vendors, and if you know their contact name or contact email or the account number that they've given you, you as their customer, that information is really useful to have at your fingertips when you need to contact somebody about service, or you have a question about some glitch that has occurred. And you can also, when the machine is down, if you've got an email address here, you can actually notify that vendor, whether it be Varian or Standard Imaging or Accuray or whatever. You can actually email straight from your machine log, and it's going to send that information that you've attached to the machine log to that vendors, to give them some information right from the get-go. When you're talking about room equipment, again, you're going to be able to see that in an overview here. What is associated with a center? It may also be something that is associated with a particular LINAC. So if you've got a question in ARIA, that is a site equipment. If you've got a beam checker, you've probably assigned it to a particular LINAC. And very easily you can add equipment. We give, again, it's a question of keeping it simple, but keeping it complete. You have different types of room type here. You can add new, so anything that you need. When to contact the vendor, you can decide how you want to do that. Who is your vendor for that? Again, all those things that are super important to know. You can, while we may have, I added just OSMS as a category here. Again, you can add categories and specialize to any type of thing that you want. You also need to say whether this category applies to a certain center, or maybe it applies only to, to a TrueBeam machine. If you click just the machine, it's going to select only that. If you click the center, it's going to be associated with all of those pieces of equipment, rooms that you have set up for that facility. Opportunity to add custom fields. I added a custom field, beam checker plus service tracking. You could, anything that you might want to track, you can do here. And you can also add custom statuses. It comes with open resolved. I added an in process because that's something that, again, when you, went into the wrong place. When you go into review and you see what's open on your machine logs, you may want to go in and update that. So by clicking on it, you can go in here and you can decide whether there is new information that you want to make to that comment. And then you can record, and add a new attachment, and that's going to make another line into the record of that machine incident, if you will, that machine log. And then one of the things that I think is really powerful about QA Pilot and also very unique to QA Pilot is being able to track not just your machines, but your devices and perhaps other types of things that you might want to do. Again, it's very customizable. We also have incident learning. So, okay, okay, great, we caught it. Well, for you and your administrators can see the added value of a product like QA Pilot and all that it helps you manage by saying, okay, well, we're always interested in process improvement. We always want to improve the patient outcomes, the patient experience. Well, here you can begin to track some of those things that were near misses or things that you felt were clunky in the workflow. And then as your committee gets together or your departmental administration gets together, they can review what kinds of things happened in the past quarter. Well, if this certain type of incident occurred 6 times over the past 2 months, that kind of indicates we got some work to do on improving that process. You can then at that moment decide as a committee what that new process is going to be, communicate it via the documents, implement it, and the next quarter you can review. Hey, look, we reduced the number of this type of incident from 6 down to just 1. That seems to have worked for us. Let's keep on going with that. Or you review it the next quarter and you see, nope, we still had the same kind of error. We had it 5 times, which is a slight improvement, but it's not good enough. So let's think about what it is we're going to do to improve on that. And I am a person forever and a day, have always been about process improvement. So I'm very, very, very excited about the machine log and the ILS. I think they're powerful tools that all of you could use. The nice thing about this as well, being a web app, is that you can very easily do a wiki search. So schedule specifications. I'm not sure if that, so it's going to take you into the knowledge base, what's available here, the QA Pilot update log. As I said, we have a dedicated team that is always keeping you up to date. What did we add? Maybe there's a little bug fix. These are really, keep up to date because this is a fast moving product. We're always adding value for you. And I think that covers what I wanted to go over. I will go into this analysis section. This is another one of those things that is great for you to be able to start evaluating what's going on across your machines. Say that you're upgrading all of your locations to Variance TrueBeam or Electa's Versa HD or their new one that's coming out. As long as you have either a test with the same name or a template that is the same across machines, I doubt that I have any data in here, so bear with me while we try and look at something. You can go in and look and say, okay, what tests do I have in here? What energies? And then you can start getting some comparison data across your centers. You get some mean, median, standard deviations, maximum, and minimum. These are the kinds of things, and again, for whatever type of test that you're doing, I may not have data, so you can compare date across all dates, a custom range, so on and so forth. These are things that help you feel like, okay, I've got 4 true beams. These 3 seem to be, I seem to get the same type of results for my daily QA on 3 of them, but the 4th one seems a little bit off. Am I just suspect, or am I going crazy, or is there really something to what I feel is happening? And you can start to compare, any site or machine that's got that same test, again, is going to be able to appear here and give you some of that analysis information, which helps you manage your Linux and your departments and your enterprise, your whole organization, as you're looking at that. So I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you. So I want to give you a moment to think about whether you've got any questions. And while we're doing that, I just want to mention that, as I said at the beginning, next week my colleague Hugh is going to talk more about PIPSpro. Imager and machine QA, quantitative analysis, especially for things like loss of leaf speed. We're measuring that and a whole bunch of other things, how that integrates as part 2 of our QA Fusion. And I also want to encourage you to get more information if you need to. There, we have a variety of resources. At Virtual Astro's coming up. We're going to have a virtual booth there. So if you're attending Astro, please go check that out. If you'd like to go in depth into more information about how to set up templates and custom tests and those things, reach out to your regional account manager. We're happy to set up one-on-one demos and get more of your questions answered. I also encourage you to visit our website. We've also opened up a new customer portal. So if you own any SI equipment, chambers, electrometers, you can see the calibration status. You can get user manuals. You can do all of those things. So please make sure that you're registered on our customer portal and that you're checking out our previously recorded webinars for, like I said, our complete integrated solutions. We've got a lot of great solutions out there. So I'm going to take a peek and see if there are any questions. This is always just a tad tricky. Bear with me. Oh dear. Okay, I see some, but I don't know if there's a way to expand this. So bear with me as I try and go through what's available here. What about service events, parts, and replacement? So whether you're talking about service events for your LINAC, you could register those in the machine log. If it's about different pieces of equipment that you own in the equipment manager is really meant more for your QA devices, ion chambers, electrometers, beam checkers, cross checkers, those types of things. By adding a task, the task can be related to anything you want. If it's chambers, it could be for an intercomparison. If it's you have scheduled regular service, you can do that. If you really want to do those service events or parts replacement for the LINAC or LINAC accessories, then I would say log that in the machine log. It doesn't have to be that the machine is down for you to be able to enter a machine log, but it's, until it's actually closed out, it will be there on your review for you. So yes, that is a place that you could track something like that. I don't see chart presentation of the output of the machine. 1, 2, 3. That is true. Let me go back over to the software for a moment, if my thing wants to cooperate here. Let me minimize that again. So in daily QA, for example, you can see your input information when you're performing that on a schedule. This one I just completed this morning, but say you want to do it in here. We have an equipment hub, which will add a little button here that says get data. And whether you're using our Beam Checker Plus, which I hope you are, or Sun's Daily QA3 or PTW's daily device, there will be a little button here that says get data, and it will auto-populate that information for you. If you're doing a schedule, and this one I'm probably going to have to look at it through here. Say you're using MPC. We're going to go through this way. So these are the selected tests that are within the MPC. This is an automatic upload of that as well. You're doing with utilizing MPC. My understanding is that it creates a JSON file. When you're done, that JSON file, QA Pilot's actually going in and parsing data from that in order to populate these various test results from the MPC into QA Pilot. If you're doing monthly QA with a profiler, We also can parse either a PDF or a JSON file from that, and it'll populate that information into the spreadsheet as you're doing it. The other thing I didn't really show you was what do those worksheets look like for TG51. Again, here's some information. You can pick your energy. What are we doing? 6 MV, 9 MV. It's again linked to how you've set up the LINAC. If you've got more than one physicist participating, you can add those people here. What is your reason for doing this? What detector are you using? Right now, I've only got an A19 assigned to it. But, if you have a diode or a micropoint chamber, those things can be added, as long as when you're setting up those devices, say it can be used for TG51, then it's going to be added to the drop-down menu. What electrometer are you using? Right now, we're assigning it to a Max 4000 Plus. Could be a Supermax, could be a Max if you're using our 1D tank. Which I highly encourage because we've just released the DoseView 1D 2.0, DoseView software, which is moving DoseView 1D to our new, wonderfully easy, intuitive workflow, same as our DoseView 3D platform. So again, another piece of integration. But back to this, there are certain things that you've set up already under the LINAC. Here you can set up other things. We're doing 200 MUs at this MU rate. Your beam quality factors, temperature, pressure. Then you would enter your readings, and we're averaging those readings. Your temperature and pressure correction. And if you're doing the calculated dose, if for some reason this is out of tolerance, out of expectation, you could actually go in and go back to your LINAC, do whatever adjustments you're going to do, and then come back to this worksheet and say, okay, let's take a reading after we've done those adjustments on the LINAC, enter a reading here, and make doubly sure that our final dose here is within the expected tolerance. I hope that answered the question. Let me go back to this then. Still going through the questions here. I hope that answered. As statistics, I'm not sure if I understand that correctly. So you may want to send me a separate email on that to make sure that I've understood what it is you're asking about, and get that question answered for you. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions on here. So with that, I'm going to end today's presentation and say thank you all very, very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to attend this webinar today. And again, I encourage you to check in with my colleague Hugh next week. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, whether that means the full work day or you get to go an evening rest right now. Please take care, please stay safe, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.